Very impressive. I mean, he took care of business on the road in Cincinnati. He threw the ill-advised pick at the end and almost went for the pick six. And then, obviously, we saw that Tyler Boyd drop pass, kicked the field goal, but then they left him too much time on the clock. For a young rookie like this to engineer a drive to set up the game-winning field goal. I mean, you talk about moments, Skip. This was Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady or Deshaun Watson or any of these quarterbacks, Joe Burrow or Jalen Hurts. We would be screaming crazy. But because it's a rookie, we're like, and it's Houston. We're still trying to figure out what Houston is, sitting at 5-4, even though they took care of business against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And now they sit right there in the number 2 spot, and they still got to play Jacksonville. Here's what I would say about C.J. Stroud. I've been knowing C.J. Stroud since high school out here at Rancho Cucamonga.
Yep.
And so when I looked at him at Ohio State, he did everything. He did everything. They just didn't win a national title. When his chips was against him, he figured out how to get on top of those chips. Then you go and you look at the National Football League. Come draft time, there was all these rumors about his personality and who he really was and what he should be. And he wasn't a hard worker. But it didn't stop the Houston Texans from taking him at the 2nd pick. Even though there's rumors, they wanted Bryce Young. Well, they got C.J. Stroud. You don't think they're happy with this? He's played at a level this season that has his name in the MVP conversation as we stands today, much like a Dak Prescott. Doesn't mean he's going to win it, but to have a rookie's name in the conversation of MVP, Sherm, that says a whole lot. We can run down the statistics. We can talk about the touchdown and interception rate, but let's just talk about his leadership for a minute. His leadership, the players around him. He's not out there throwing the bona fide Pro Bowl wide receivers. He's throwing the guys that he believes in, and they're starting to believe in him. So I'm excited for him and DeMeco Ryans. I think he's just done a tremendous job in leading this team to where they're at. In Houston, they got a keeper in him.
No question they got a keeper. And like you said, he's playing like a top 5 quarterback. You know, you can't just give him top 5 because there are established guys that have done it for a much longer time. So I'd never want to just throw guys like, hey, he's top 5. You got to do it for a lot longer time. But he's in the games that he's only had 9 games in his career. He's played like a top 5 quarterback, and he's gotten better and better. And at the end of games, I think his team has the belief in him that he's going to get – if he has the ball in his hands, they're going to give him time, and he's going to go down and win that game. He's done it 2 weeks in a row. He went 75 yards against Tampa Bay when they needed to have it with 46 seconds left. They used their 2 timeouts early. He drove the ball down the field, hit Tank Dell for the game winner. He has Nico Collins with more yards this year in 8 games than he's had in either of his previous 2 years. He has Tank Dell playing like a really good rookie receiver. He'll be on the all-rookie team. Yep. Dalton Schultz is a good weapon, but he's elevating those guys around him, and that's what an MVP candidate does. He not only plays well and plays elite, but he elevates those around him. Then you get to his stats. He's leading the league in yards per game. He would be leading the league in yards, period, if it wasn't for Sam Howell having an extra game. And Sam Howell is only 157 yards ahead of him. So when he gets to his 10th game, I would expect him to be leading the league in that category as well. But then you look at his touchdowns to interception ratio. He looks like the way Aaron Rodgers usually looks. He has 15 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. This is incredible for a rookie. And this is why this is a warning to all GMs, all owners, everybody out there. Don't believe the BS that you read before the draft, because if you get too enamored with, oh, his score wasn't that high or his wonder lick, and you don't get caught up in the tape and what the guy is and what the guy has been, then you miss out on an all-world generational talent who goes out there and proves that you should have picked him first. And I know Carolina is saying all the right things right now about Bryce Young, and they're not necessarily putting him in the best position to be successful. His offensive line isn't protecting him and things like that. But at the end of the day, you could not tell me right now that if you switch them, that Bryce Young would be doing the same thing C.J. Stroud is doing, and that's fair.
That is fair. Okay, I'll be the first to admit, I only watched C.J. on television. I didn't break down any coach's tape when he was at Ohio State. I didn't see the consistent level of this kind of play at Ohio State. I saw big time, and then I saw some mediocre from him. It came and it went. You can make excuses for it because of things that went on in games, whatever, but I just didn't see this. I'm not sure anybody saw this. I thought Bryce Young would be a little, but only a little better than CJ. So I went with Bryce Young as the first overall pick, and I'm going to stand by that because I still say he's going to have a very good NFL career. He does not have quite the weapons that even CJ has right now in Houston, and he definitely does not have the offensive line that CJ has in Houston. And for sure, he doesn't have Singletary running for 150 yards in Carolina, because that was a big thing yesterday to run for 150 on that Cincinnati defense. It's pretty good, and that opened up some things for CJ. But the point is, what is shocking me, he's not dinking and dunking. He is throwing the football all over the field. He's throwing it long. He's throwing it to the sidelines. He's throwing. He is making every throw any big time. He's doing at least as much as Patrick Mahomes is doing. He is throwing it deep. He's throwing it mid-range. He's throwing it with velocity. He's throwing it with touch. And he's doing it at the highest level at the most crucial moments of games in the last second drives. If we could see the two throws, Dalton Schultz was a Dallas Cowboy, and he was a favorite of Dak's. But when he left, did I say we're not going to be the same? No, I didn't say we're not going to be the same. And I think Jake Ferguson is pretty good, too. They look like a real live pro football team, and they weren't very good last year, as we well know. And now when they step on the field, they look legit to me. They play legit on defense. They're in the right places at the right times. And yes, CJ's going to make some mistakes, but to me, he's on the way. Help me out here. Isn't he on the way to having the best rookie year of any quarterback in the history of this league? Okay, because RG3 was really good. I was a big fan of RG3's when we won the Heisman at Baylor. Obviously, he got hurt at the end of the year. But remember what Robert did? He stepped right in. He had the Shanahans. That helped. And they reinvented their offense around what Robert could do best. But he won Offensive Rookie of the Year, and they took off and won the division, and they were in position. You weren't there yet. No. Seattle.
Yeah, we beat them in the playoffs.
Okay, but were you? Was that your?
We beat them in the playoffs.
Okay. Okay, but you. Yeah, you were down. He had you down, and before he got hurt, right?
We were in Washington.
Okay.
And then he blew his knee, and then
okay,
Kirk
then that was the end of that. Okay. So, but the point was, Robert had a great rookie year. I thought Dak Prescott had a great rookie year.
Yeah,
now, as I look back on it, he did have Zeke just dominating the league, so that took some pressure off Dak. But this is, we've never seen this before. And to your point, on degree of difficulty, if I had to award an MVP right now on degree of difficulty, coming from nowhere as a rookie with a team that's sort of starting over under a new head coach, a young head coach, he should be the MVP right now.
No
Seriously. I mean, that's what he's...
I'm arguing on Twitter with Jacksonville Jaguars fans because I'm saying Trevor Lawrence, because they want to say Trevor Lawrence is playing like a generational talent. And I'm saying he's been a game manager. But then they want to argue that C.J. Stroud...
Why are you arguing?
Because
That's a good question.
C.J. Stroud, they said C.J. Stroud has better weapons when nobody and nobody anywhere could have named his weapons before he made these guys what they are. Nico Collins had never had over 500 yards in a season.
Than Jacksonville?
Yeah, that's what they're trying to say. I'm saying, what are we doing?
You should have called me, Sherm. I could have told you to stop that conversation immediately. But when you look at C.J. Stroud, it's going to be very difficult for him to win the MVP, even if they won the division, because the people that vote on these things, they're not going to respect a rookie at this level. I mean, he's got to go on and throw for 5,500 yards and 45 touchdowns for him to be able to get
they would almost have to win out because they're 5-4.
Absolutely.
So, right?
Absolutely. And really make some noise in the AFC to that point because they're just not going to give it to him.
Yeah.
Is it well-deserved? Will it be well-deserved? I'm sure if he continues. You mentioned the fact that, he's going to make some mistakes. Well, he hasn't made a whole lot of them, Skip, right? I mean, the one yesterday, he'll learn from that because that's a long throw from one hash across the field, and I don't think he realized how long that throw was because the velocity of the football started to die on him, and the guy was able, and it was inside, not outside, so he was able to step right in and pick it and go the other way. I wouldn't have been throwing in this situation either, though.
I agree.
There's no way I'm throwing in that situation. There's no way.
Yeah. I mean, that's a tough throw. His receiver kind of had a step, but his angle that he was at, there was no way for him to make that. The corner undercut it. It was perfect.
Okay, and just to be objective, he did lose 2 fumbles
He lost
yesterday.
2 fumbles,
If we could quickly see this is still the interception. Yeah, that's just it's just a bad idea. But here's the first fumble. He just lost the snap. Okay, that happens. And then that's the slow-mo of this. Okay, and then this is a strip sack up in the air, and that was ruled a fumble. Okay, so is that going to happen to rookie? Yes, it will. But in the end, he completely and utterly outplayed Joe Burrow in the fourth quarter. And I got to say, I've been watching Joe Burrow pretty closely for a long time. He has been playing, but I think it was the worst fourth quarter I've ever seen Joe Burrow play because he threw 2 picks and his QBR sank just for the fourth quarter to 8, that scale of 0 to 100, while the young man on the other side had a QBR of 78 in the fourth quarter. So he just completely outplayed a guy that I've made a case for being the best quarterback, the closest thing to Tom Brady in pro football. So it did come down to one throw, and finally Joe sucked it up and said, I got to wipe the slate clean. And he throws it to Tyler Boyd. If we could see it one more time, I'm sure we've been showing it. But it's 3rd and 10. This is a 3rd and 10 throw, and I don't know what happens. He almost threw it too well, too perfectly. He just hit him right in the sweetest spot. Help me out, Keyshawn. What goes through your mind? It's so catchable that it's too catchable. And
yeah, I think that sometimes guys get in these situations and they don't really know if they should catch it with their hands, protect their body because he's in the air. If somebody around, they're going to hit him. But all of a sudden he just dropped. I feel bad for Tyler Boyd, especially since they lost the game. You just don't ever want to see a guy put in that position. But he's a professional.
I mean, you want to see guys put that position because
the football.
You got to catch that. But
he's got to catch it. He knows that.
I think you got to give credit to Bobby Slowick, the offensive coordinator for the Houston Texans, because when a young kid struggles, everybody looks at the offensive coordinator and say, you don't put him in position to be successful. It's the offensive coordinator. It's the offensive coordinator. So you got to give him credit when it's due. DeMeco Ryans has its entire team playing inspired football. They're playing like they believe in his head coach. They were supposed to be a few years away, a lot of talent away from competing in this division, competing in this league, and they're doing it right now. Every week, you're supposed to be like, oh, the Houston Texans, this is kind of we should have a win right here. That's not how you're feeling right now. If C.J. Stroud is in that game, they got a good chance to win.
Who's the better, big question, though, who's the better football team in Texas?
Well, I mean, it's to be debated.
Stop it.
Is it the Longhorns? Is it the Cowboys?
Is it the Longhorns? It's crazy.
I think it's Texas Tech this week, right? Because they beat Kansas. Look, the point is, with C.J. Stroud, Baker Mayfield had one of the great last-ditch drives of his career last week. And C.J. on the sideline said, hey, we got this. We got this. And I think he said it with such convincing confidence that the huddle's like, I think we're gonna. And yesterday, Joe Burrow, Tyler Boyd drops the throw in the end zone, which would have given him a 4-point lead. I don't know if the Texans could overcome the 4-point, but 3, okay. So now here we go, and you know what happened? He just said, we got this, and he looks so serenely confident and.
But he did this was it Georgia?
Yeah.
That he played against his last game in college against Georgia. He looked the part.
Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Do you want more highlights from the show? Make sure to click that subscribe button for all the exclusive content from Undisputed.